Our 2018 honorees exemplify what it means to be a mom and a leader, and we're thrilled to recognise them today. And our first outstanding mother honoree is Artemis Patrick. She is Sephora's highly regarded Chief Merchandising Officer, and the reason why my credit card is always under arrest in itself. Leading with a passion for innovation and risk, Artemis heads a talented team of merchants and product development specialists dedicating to helping customers learn, play, and get inspired with beauty. And since joining Sephora in February 2006, Artemis has helped shape some of its breakthrough categories and product leadership initiatives to date, including indie fragrances, textured hair distortion and assortments, and establishing Sephora as the first North American prestige beauty retailer to offer K-beauty products and brands. However, she doesn't, and this is one of the most important reasons why we all love Artemis, she doesn't take credit for that. And when she's asked who her role model mom is, she says it's the collective mothers she works with every day, both within her team and her peers across Sephora. But she is an outstanding mom, and Tula, her daughter, knows that, don't you, Tula? She's nodding. For those of you who can't see the Tula, stand up so everybody just gets a chance to see you. So please join me in congratulating Artemis Patrick.
My daughter said, "Are you getting a trophy?" I was like, "I am. Look, honey." Okay, wow. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction, Joanna. When I first heard that I had been given this award, along with Jan Singer, Jessica Simpson, and Chelsea Clinton, I thought surely there must be another curly-haired Iranian woman named Artemis Patrick out there. But I was told no, in fact, there isn't, so you guys are stuck with me. First, of course, I have to thank Lori Dowley and the outstanding Mother's Day Committee for both this incredible honor and this amazing event. And of course, the three inspirational moms and leaders with whom I'm up here today. In order for me to really communicate what this award means to me, I have to share a little bit about my background. I was born in Iran to an unwed 18-year-old girl. Needless to say, in Iranian culture, that didn't go over too well. But my mother was never one to follow the rules. Who else living in Iran would name her daughter after a Greek goddess who was known as a huntress and the protector of all single women? In 1979, during the Iranian Revolution, my parents and I escaped to America, and after a couple of years of a not-so-easy adjustment, my mother went back to Iran to see her family, who she missed sorely, only to not be able to come back to the U.S. because of the Iranian hostage situation. Knowing that my father was often absent and ill-equipped to take care of me, she called for social services to take me in until she could get back to the U.S. But getting back proved not to be easy, and although she was devastated to be apart from her daughter, she knew that Iran, under its new government, was no place to raise a little girl who had gotten a taste of freedom. So at the age of 10, I moved in with foster parents. Now, my foster parents were a little bit older, never had kids of their own or even other foster kids, and were about as Americana and apple pie as a family could get. Her, a former home economics teacher, and him, a civil engineer for the city of San Francisco. One thing I left out was it took almost a year for me to get placed into a foster home because Iranians in the early 80s were not a popular bunch. Or as I would call myself, Persian, because if I said it real fast, it sounded like I was Parisian. But these amazing people took me in and never batted an eye when their neighbors were wondering where the heck this little girl that looked nothing like them suddenly moved in from. My mother did finally get out of Iran, escaping to Germany. By then, I was an angry teenager, not sure if there's any other kind, and I didn't want any contact with her. But every Sunday, my foster mom would make me sit down and write a letter to her. One day, my foster mom and I told her I had nothing to say to her. And she said, "Oh, Artie, for Pete's sake, just write about the weather then." So I did, an entire page. That must have been the most boring letter that my mother ever received, but I'm sure she didn't care. My mother wasn't healthy, and without access to universal health care in the US, couldn't afford to leave Germany. And I was happy being an American. And over time, I finally did forgive her, because I realized that the sacrifice that she made to not send for me when she was in Iran was the greatest gift that she could give me. Eventually, my mother and I became close again, and I visited her often until she passed away a few years ago. When I tell people my story, I always end it with how lucky I am for the twists and turns in my life, because I believe they have taught me 3 valuable lessons in being a working mom. And while I am not perfect and I make a lot of mistakes, I try to at least stay true to these 3 lessons. The first is to be flexible and to constantly reevaluate my values. It was through my foster mom's encouragement that I kept revisiting what I believed to be true about my mom and eventually connected with her, forgave her, and built a new mother-daughter relationship. The second is to be thankful. I am thankful for my foster parents, I am thankful for a supportive husband, and I am thankful for my story. Because being thankful allows me to see the ultimate good and possibility before I see failure. Yes, my mother made mistakes and sacrifices, but she got me to a country that was full of possibility. And finally, I've learned to try and have empathy, both as a leader and as a mom, because you never really know people's stories, and everyone has a story. So this award is for my mother, Shamsi, my foster mother, Rita, and for all the moms out there who make sacrifices every day to give their children a better life. And for my daughter, Tula Bell, who hopefully will always remember where she came from and be thankful for it. So happy Mother's Day to everyone who is a mom, a foster mom, an adopted mom, a stepmom, and dear girlfriends that we call aunties. This is your day to celebrate and to know how much you are loved. Thank you.